Good afternoon, Bay Nation. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Bay. Mike Williams here, your host, and my co-host here, Geoffrey.
Good afternoon, Bay Nation.
Oh, unfortunately, we need to start our day off with the injuries from Sunday. I have never seen a Sunday with so many injuries. It was absolutely insane. Offensive players, defensive players, linemen. It was crazy what was going down on Sunday, and I'm here to break down the fantasy relevant players that have left us either for the year or in the short term. So let's get it started. At the very top, Saquon Barkley. I don't know about you, but I had him in a league, and when he went down slightly earlier in the game with an arm injury, I was like, oh my goodness, is he going to be okay? Came back on the field. I felt such joy that he was going to be okay. And then the next play, down to a torn ACL, out for the year. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. He obviously is one of the best players in fantasy. I feel bad for him as a person. He's a wonderful guy. But I'm here to help you with your fantasy league. And we will be talking about alternatives to pick up later. Terrible, terrible. Hate that he's out. Next, we have Christian McCaffrey. Went down with a high ankle sprain. Not good, guys. Originally, we thought he was going to be out maybe a week or two. Now it's looking more like 4 to 6 weeks. Top of the draft's not looking good. Next in the running backs, we have Raheem Mostert, who went down with a knee injury. I believe it's an MCL. Then we have Tevin Coleman, who also has a knee injury. I'm not quite sure exactly the severity of that, but I do know that he came off the field with a knee issue. Also, running backs that got injured, Cam Akers had rib cartilage separation, which sounds terrible. And also in that backfield, Malcolm Brown went down. Well, not necessarily went down. He has a fractured pinky. I believe he should be able to play, but he is injured. So that's running backs. Let's get to the wide receiver position. Devontae Adams, hamstring injury. Cortland Sutton, who had a lot of upside coming into this year, tore his ACL. It's absolutely awful. He'll be down for the year. Paris Campbell had a knee injury. Will Fuller had a hamstring injury. Left and right, so many injuries. Next, the quarterback position. Jimmy GQ, Mr. Handsome himself, went down with a high ankle sprain. He should be out for at least a week or two, if not more, as of this recording. Drew Lock had a sprained AC joint, so he's also going to possibly be missing some time. Tyrod Taylor, this was a really random injury. We didn't actually get to see this injury. Right before the game, had some chest tightness, ended up going into the hospital. It's terrible. So I'm not actually quite sure exactly what his injury is, but it was enough for him to be held out of last week and to have to go to the hospital, which is no bueno. Also, there's a lot of other injuries we have. Some injuries to the offensive lines. Injuries to the defense. Nick Bosa went down with a torn ACL. Solomon from the 49ers also went down with an ACL. There were a bunch of injuries on the defensive end as well. It's just left and right, injury after injury after injury. If you got through this week without any injuries, major or small, consider it a win. Even if you lost your matchup, a lot of people lost a lot of their players. Not just for a week or two, but for the season. So be active on the waiver wires. If you did lose some people, it's not over. You can definitely come back from this, but I feel your pain. Most of the players that we talked about, I lost as well. But I'm not giving up. We can go out to the waiver wire. We can grab some people that'll get us by until our team gets back together. All right, Geoffrey, do you have anything?
66% of the consensus top 3 picks in the draft are injured.
Yeah, 2 out of the top 3 draft picks injured. But you know what? You don't win your league at the draft. This stuff happens every single year. We just have to be able to push through. We got this. Geoffrey, you got anything else?
You humans are very fragile, sir. Maybe your species should re-evaluate playing contact sports.
We are not fragile, Geoffrey. They're playing a very violent game, going very fast.
If you say so, sir, there are safer alternatives.
Well, I do say so. These guys are tough as nails. Don't you disrespect our players like that. Geoffrey doesn't know any better. I'll talk to him. Alright, time to move on to the waiver wire. Just an FYI, right after I recorded this, I got news that Devonta Freeman should be signing with the Giants, pending a COVID test and a physical, and that makes him my number one waiver for the week. I put him above Mike Davis and everybody else, because if Devonta Freeman comes in and has a role basically to himself, he'll be sharing it with Wayne Gallman and Dion Lewis, especially at the beginning, but that's going to be his job because they're going to pay him, most likely, if they sign him. So that's where we are with that. I didn't want to change too much of the video, but I wanted to let you know Devonta Freeman is now on top. All right, enjoy the rest of the video. All right, let's start off with the running back position. There's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to who to pick up on the waiver wire this week because there's a lot of things that are kind of up in the air. But one thing is sure, Christian McCaffrey's backup, Mike Davis. He's the number one waiver wire pick for running backs. Christian McCaffrey should be out from 4 to 6 weeks. Yes, he is going to try to come back early, but even if he tries, the team's going to try to protect their best asset. And 4 weeks out of a running back that's going to be getting a majority of the touches is going to do well. So Mike Davis, number one running back off the board for sure. Next, we have the New York Giants losing Saquon Barkley. This is more of a long-term type of pickup. The Mike Davis is only going to last for a short term because once Christian McCaffrey comes back, it's over. But the Giants lost Saquon Barkley for the whole year. So who we pick up could possibly be the person for the rest of the year. That being said, the two options that we have are Dion Lewis, who was actually in the game, and Wayne Gallman, who was inactive. He was inactive most likely because they didn't think they'd need him because they had Saquon Barkley. But now that Saquon Barkley is out for the year, Wayne Gallman actually is going to step up and possibly get a solid role in the offense. That being said, we don't know if he's going to be the guy. Devonta Freeman has come in for a workout with the Giants. We don't know whether or not they're going to sign Devonta Freeman. If they sign Devonta Freeman's going to be the guy. So that backfield is a little murky. If I had to order it, I would probably go with Wayne Gallman, Dion Lewis, and then Devonta Freeman. Only because Devonta Freeman's still a free agent. But if you're feeling risky, you want to roll the dice, I think Devonta Freeman could be the best of the three. But I think it's Wayne Gallman's job for now until they sign someone. Next, like I said earlier, the San Francisco 49ers backfield is dinged up. Mostert got injured as well as Tevin Coleman. I think Mostert's injury is more severe than Tevin Coleman, but that does leave an opportunity for Jerick McKinnon. So you can definitely add Jerick McKinnon onto your bench. He looked pretty solid in these last weeks, and I think that he could be pretty decent until the other running backs come back. Next, if this guy's still out there, I think he's a good speculative add. Joshua Kelly for the Chargers. I actually think that he's been running really well, and that offense seems to be clicking pretty well as well. Even though they may have a rookie quarterback for the next couple weeks. I think that he would be a solid add. He's involved in the running game and a bit in the passing game. I like Joshua Kelly a lot. All right, we got a couple receivers to go over. Wide receiver position. Starting at the top. If Corey Davis is still out there, I think that he should be picked up. Especially with A.J. Brown being down. Him and Jonnu Smith, I think, are going to be splitting the receiving work. And Ryan Tannehill's been looking pretty good. Next, we have Russell Gage, who definitely seems to be involved in this high-powered Falcons offense. They may not be able to win a game, but they can throw the ball a lot. So Russell Gage is definitely a great add. Next, if Mike Williams is still out on your waiver wire, I would grab him. I know Herbert didn't target him as much, but I do think that he's very talented and he's going to be a nice deep field threat. With Devontae Adams being limited with a hamstring injury, I also like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, also known as MVS, and Alan Lazard. I think those are both solid adds this week. Because if Devontae Adams goes down, I think that Aaron Jones will get more work. But I also think that they're going to have to throw the ball to somebody. Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball to someone. And he seems to have a pretty solid connection with these two. So I definitely think you can pick them up. If I had to choose between the two, I'd probably pick MVS over Lazard. But I do like Lazard as well. So I'm not saying bury Lazard. I'm just saying if you had to choose. N'Keal Harry looked pretty good for Cam Newton. I think that he's a nice speculative add. He's a big body wide receiver. Kind of like a Kelvin Benjamin kind of guy. So I think that should be a solid add. As well as Michael Pittman Jr. With Paris Campbell going down. I'm not quite sure how long he'll be down, but I think the Colts are going to throw the ball, so I think that Michael Pittman Jr. could be a solid add. And last but not least, we have Jalen Reagor. I like Jalen Reagor. He has a lot of targets downfield. He hasn't been able to come up with a lot of them, but I do like that they're getting him involved in the offense, and I don't think you have to spend a lot of fab on him, so I would grab him as well. I also think that Keelan Cole is somebody we should be looking out for. Through 2 weeks, he's the 16th best wide receiver. That's not bad. Double-digit points in both games. He's definitely somebody you can keep an eye out on, and I would have a speculative add on him. I don't think that you have to spend up for him either. People aren't really looking out for Keelan Cole. All right, tight end position. One person that I'm genuinely surprised is still on the waiver wire, Jonnu Smith. He looked great. Oh, I'm so happy he played well. And I think that this continues, especially while A.J. Brown is out. I think that even when A.J. Brown comes back, he'll be viable. But with him out, he's going to be one of their top receiving options. So I'm liking Jonnu Smith moving forward. Another great add, Mike Gesicki. He had 8 receptions, 130 yards, and a touchdown against the Bills. The Bills are fantastic defense. The fact that he can get that done is amazing. I think that moving forward, he will be involved in the offense. And I think he's a great add. While George Kittle is out, Jordan Reed is making a resurgence. Man had 2 touchdowns. He seems to be involved in the offense. And while Kittle's down and while he's healthy, I definitely think you can play him. Over in Dallas, they lost Blake Jarwin, unfortunately, 2 weeks ago to a torn ACL, I believe. But Dalton Schultz has been able to step in, and I actually think that he's going to be a viable start moving forward. This offense is going to be passing the ball a lot, and it seems like they want to get their tight end involved. So I think that he would be a nice add as well. And this one is a short-lived one, but as long as Jack Doyle's out, Mo Alley Cox looks really great. He's a huge guy, and it looks like he'll be doing some work for Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers loves him some tight ends. So I think that he would be a nice add as well. Now to the quarterback position. Number 1 on my list, Ryan Tannehill. He's been playing absolutely out of his mind. He is a beast right now, and I definitely think that he is worth an add. He's been playing fantastic, throwing the ball. He hasn't been running as much as he used to, but I do think that is still in his repertoire. He just hasn't needed to use it yet. I think that his passing has been incredible, though. Plenty of touchdowns, great add. Next, Gardner Minshew, I think, is a great add as well. He's been playing fantastic, and even against a tough Tennessee team, he looked really good. I think moving forward, he has a pretty light schedule. Definitely add him. Next, Joe Burrow. I really like Joe Burrow. I drafted Joe Burrow in a couple of my leagues just to see what he was going to come out to be, and he has not disappointed. Yes, they haven't been winning the games, but he has looked very good. I think that you can add Joe Burrow and possibly be starting him pretty soon. All right, last but not least, we're going to go over defenses. Number 1 on my list, we have Tampa Bay Buccaneers going against the Denver Broncos. Broncos lost their quarterback. They lost their top wide receiver, and they just were not looking in sync. That being said, they did play pretty well against the Steelers, but I think the Bucs defense has been firing on all cylinders, and I'd fire them up too. All right, next we have the Chargers. The Chargers defense has been absolutely fire. I know they didn't score a lot of points last week, but they're going against the Chiefs, and they played Patrick Mahomes really, really well. And this week, they get the Carolina Panthers without Christian McCaffrey. That's incredible. Smash play. I'm loving it. All right, next we have the Colts versus the Jets. I don't need to say too much about the Jets. Everybody knows the Jets are not very good. They don't have Le'Veon Bell. Their quarterback is seeing ghosts still. He's clearly not playing very well. And they're going to be running Frank Gore 15 to 20 times a game. I definitely think the Colts should have a good outing this week. And if they're still out there, if you need them, Tennessee Titans going against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I wouldn't normally like to play people against Minnesota, but Minnesota looks terrible. They look absolutely horrible. So, I think that if you need somebody, you can play the Titans against Minnesota Vikings. All right, and I think that that's going to do it for the waiver show. Let me know what you think. Who do I have too high? Who do I have too low? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and good luck in the waiver wire this week. Don't forget, you're not out of this. Just because you had a rough week this week does not mean you quit on me. Don't you quit on me. We got this. Going for championships this year. Woo! Peace, Fantasy Bay.